Well, hello there everyone, this is episode 22 of Titan Quest Let's Play, and we're gonna be heading and taking our travels to the Kephisos Valley and eventually into the Athenian Battleground. And I already had some requests in terms of which game mechanics to discuss, and it looks like in this episode I'll be discussing the DPS inaccuracies. DPS is damage per second, and when your DPS meter doesn't show the correct value, and that actually happens a lot. It usually happens when you do some kind of passive addition, like when you do all those passive hits with the shields, like the shield smash, disable and pulverize, and then dual wielding, that will also give you an accurate DPS value. And also when you use skills such as volley and scattershot in hunting mastery. So there are a lot of instances when your DPS will actually show lower than your actual, how much damage you can deal. And dual wield is actually dual wield is skill in the warfare mastery, which allows you to attack with two weapons. And the way dual wield works is that as soon as you equipped it, it gives you some % chance to hit with both weapons at the same time. So, for example, if you say you've got 10% chance to dual wield, it means 10% of the time, it means 1 in 10 hits, you'll hit with both weapons at the same time. And then the other 9 out of 10 times, you'll hit with either your right weapon or your left weapon. So, as you can see, the higher you get it, the better it is. For example, with 50%, it means 50% of the time you'll hit with both weapons at once. And as you notice, your DPS meter doesn't actually take that into account, because your DPS meter assumes you're always going to be hitting with just one weapon at a time. And if I'm not mistaken, it just takes the average of your right and the left. So it always assumes you're going to be hitting either with the right, either with the left, but never with two at the same time. Right. If you notice, we picked up a couple of pristine plumages, which I applied to the helmet to give us more poison resistance. But yeah, back to dual wield. So yeah, as I said, because dual wield gives you a chance to hit at the same time with both weapons, it means your DPS will be lower than what it actually should be. And even with skills such as crosscut and tumult, you even get that into more than one enemy at the same time. So when you have your dual wield 3 completely maxed, you'll get something like just over 50% chance to use dual wield. That means your actual DPS will be somewhere around, it's going to be quite a rough estimate, it's going to be somewhere around 50% higher than it actually shows. And then you got a similar kind of DPS inaccuracy with the passive shield hits, the shield smash, disable and pulverize, because what they do is that your passive shield hits actually, they take into account your weapon damage and the damage on your shield and the damage on the skill. So that's why they usually do more damage than your regular attack, because they actually combine your weapon attack damage and your shield damage, and the one also given in the skill. And also these shield hits also considered as 2 hits, so when you have skills such as Calculated Strike or Psionic Touch, which require 4 hits before they get charged, every time it hits with a shield, it'll charge it up by 2 levels rather than by 1. But anyway, so we've just reached this area here where we're going to do a Limos side quest.
Stay back. Well, the thing is, we don't know what to do with it after we saw what it did to Liagris.
Right. I assume you are Liagris here? Seems alright. Oh, you sissies can't handle one Limos.
Send a scouting party out to the Athenian swamps.
Okay, so we've got 2 side quests now. If we check here, one is Trapped in the Ruins, and one is Spartan's Lost, which we'll do later. But we'll do Trapped in the Ruins now, which is this Limos they've trapped here, and they don't know how to handle him, because he's actually pretty tough. Make sure you're ready, and we're gonna step in and fight him. He's a tough enemy, I assure you. Hey, if you notice, he chucks all those poison projectiles at you, and he also does the life drain. So he will be actually healing himself when he does that, healing himself by draining health from you. If you notice, his hits do quite a lot of damage as well. Every time he hits us, he rips off something like a third or a quarter of our health. Sometimes even a half, like that. But I think he's he's probably quite high in offensive ability as well, because if you notice, he does critical us a few times. There, like that. See that red number? So you just have to really take your time with him. If you've got any life leeching resistance, of course, it will help, but at this stage you probably won't have that much. So you just have to really run around, use your best skills on him, and try to stay away from him, and use your health potion as soon as your health gets to halfway, or you know, don't let it get too low. Every time he swings, you can move out of the way and he will actually miss you. And if you noticed, our Thunderbolt can actually stun him for a little while, so it's good to use the stunning skills and all sorts of other ways to incapacitate him. But yeah, he's definitely a hard boss. He's obviously a side quest boss, so you don't have to do it. But I'd say he's probably the hardest up to now. There we go. We've killed him. Now we report to this guy.
How did you do that? When you went in, I expected that Limos to...
What?
My apologies, noble warrior. I mistook you for a common traveler.
Apology accepted, bitch. Right, so you give us this static Falcata of Destruction. It's got nice damage bonuses, but it's not really that good compared to what we've got. Although the Lectib that we use, it deals a lot of poison damage, so it's the poison that's actually giving us high DPS there. Right, so back to where we were. As I mentioned, the classic cases of the DPS inaccuracies, dual wield and shield smashing, and the same applies for scatter shot in hunting, for example. When your arrows, they break into the pieces and deal extra damage to all the surrounding targets. Obviously that's not accounted in DPS, so you always gotta keep that in mind. Okay then, well, we've cleared out this area. Now we're gonna cross this bridge and we're gonna get to the Athenian Battleground, the monster encampment here. And this is actually a really huge area, really open space, and there's loads of enemies around here, so it's quite easy to miss some parts of it, but I'll try to take you through it, and a lot of it will also overflow into the next episode, maybe even next 2 episodes. And why do I keep picking up these lesser health potions? I have no idea. I should stop doing that. Alright, so on the right hand side we've got the Athenian Swamp, which I probably should have gone in this episode, but it's okay, we'll do it in the next episode, because that's where we complete one of the side quests that was given to us. But never mind. In this episode we just go to the Athenian Mortuary Grounds, which will be in a bit. But for now we'll just fight loads of satyrs around the encampment. Shroud of Eternal Night. Another formula for that we found. There are quite a lot of monsters around here. You're gonna get surrounded pretty quickly. And it's not just satyrs around here, you get centaurs as well, and they can be tough. And in some places you also get the bowmen. So just watch out, watch your back. Alright, now let's proceed into this area. And who have we got here? Fairness Chaskin, it's you again. Why you keep coming back? We killed you twice already. The guy is a persistent bastard, isn't he? Just refuses to die. I suppose the same could be said of us as well. But we haven't died yet, so ha! Suck on this. And there we go. Fairness's death count is now at 3. Okay, another formula, Touch of the Fool. Anyways, I also promised I'll talk a bit about the shield mechanic, of how the shield blocks the damage. And if you notice, a lot of the time in the shield description, in the stats, it says like something like a percent to block a certain amount of damage. Like for example, if it says 50% chance to block 100 damage, it means 50% of the time when enemies attack you, you will block 100 points of the damage directed at you. But also, every shield in the game has a cooldown. Most shields have a cooldown of 3 seconds. However, there are some which have a cooldown of 2.5 seconds. What the cooldown does is that it means after the shield has blocked the damage, that means it needs to cool down, and it's not going to block any more damage until the cooldown is done. And after the cooldown is done, then once again it gets its initial percentage of blocking a certain amount of damage. And of course this cooldown can be reduced with certain skills and gear. Like for example, the quick recovery skill in defense, which is a timed buff, it will for some time reduce the recovery that your shield had, which means that it will be able to block attacks more frequently. So these kind of things, these kind of stats are actually very useful if you find them on your gear. And of course percent chance to block as well is very useful. That's why with some relics and some skills you've got like a +% chance to block, which is very useful. Alright, if you notice, we're in Athenian Mortuary Grounds now, so we're fighting some undead around here. And also some Orthosis here and there. We're actually very close to a level up, so we're gonna level up really soon. Get to the next level and pick some more skills. Okay. Alright, so we're good here. Essence of Prometheus' Flame. There we go, that's I think our third one, which we can combine now. And if you know Prometheus from mythology, he was a titan, one of the titans who stole the fire from the gods and gave it to the humans. And this way he defied the gods actually. So he kind of defied the gods to do a noble thing. And for that Zeus punished him by chaining him to a huge rock and then getting an eagle to come in and eat his liver every morning. And then over the night the liver would grow back and the eagle would come back next morning to eat some more. Right, so we also picked up Valor of Achilles, as you see. And that's the last piece we added to our Death Foes leg tip. If you notice the completion bonus, extra 10% damage, so it's really nice. And let's level up as well. We're gonna check around, what have we got around here? Alright, so we should get the defense mastery going, so I'm gonna put a couple of skills in the tree. And I'm gonna put another one in the skills, which I'll do into shield charge. Alright, and for the attributes, our intelligence is still lagging behind, so we're gonna put that one point in there, and another one is strength. That'll do. Right, yeah, so Prometheus, he was punished by Zeus for defying the gods and giving humans the fire. Of course later on he actually gets freed by Heracles or something, and Heracles defeats that eagle who keeps eating his liver all the time. Okay, there's quite a lot of undead around here, so make use of your, if you got any skills aimed at the undead, then make sure you switch them on. And there's actually going to be a dungeon a bit soon as well, a small dungeon, but we won't have time in this episode to do it, and I'll do it in the next episode. Okay, got some vicious Orthosis. Look at that, Demon's Blood. Demon's Blood is actually a very useful monster charm because it gives you stun and vitality resistances. And it's actually found across all 4 acts actually. You get different monsters dropping them. You get the Orthosis, and then those Euronymii guys, the scavenger guys, they drop it as well. And then you got Limos, they drop it as well. And a few other creatures, I think that those sprites in Act 3, they drop it as well. See, yeah, this is a dungeon, but we'll do it in the beginning of the next episode. For now, let's get back. I also need to buy some more health potions because we seem to be running low. Always keep an eye on your health potions, how many you've got, because from time to time you'll be fighting an intense battle and you press your potion key and suddenly you're not healing anything and you realize you're actually out of potions. And that's one of the worst things that can happen in this game. That is a huge zombie. Where the heck, what have they been feeding him? That's not a human. Well, okie dokie, is a rebirth fountain around here, so we're gonna stop it, and there's still quite a fair bit left to do in this area. We're gonna be doing it in the next episode, so I'll see you guys later.